Mothers Against Drunk Driving, or MADD, has launched the MADD Network, a first-of-its-kind campaign that aims to unite diverse supporters who share one mission: to eliminate impaired driving, which is one of the biggest threats to public safety on our nation's roads. I spoke about the new network and how it works with MADD's California Executive Director, Patricia Rillera. Patricia, tell us about this new MADD Network and why it's important.
Well, the new MADD network is the first of its kind campaign that we have designed really to pull together diverse groups of individuals and corporations with a like mind of really helping to end drunk driving. So keep in mind that MADD has been in existence for over 40 years. And during that time, we've continued to see an uptick in the number of drunk driving crashes that results in injuries and deaths. And so what we realize, it takes a village really to be able to address these issues and really to address it head on. So that's why we came up with a network. We really want to collaborate with a lot of different entities, not just one particular industry, but we want corporations, we want individuals in all types of industries to come on board with us and partner with us to really talk to their employees, talk to their constituents about the perils of drunk and drunk driving. In addition to that, we want them to promote, safe and secure driving behind the wheel as an option to all of the folks that they engage with. So it's not just MADD out there on this island, trying to solve this issue. We want a collective group of folks to come and work with us so that we can try to have some impact. Because if you take a look at the fact that every 79 seconds, there's someone who is injured or killed in a drunk driving crash. And these are 100% preventable crimes. And that doesn't include the number of injuries and deaths from marijuana and or other types of substances that creates impairment. So it's a one-of-a-kind opportunity for us to kind of rally to the troops and say, guys, come on and join with us. Let's all talk to our collective groups, your communities, and get a handle on this situation.
I'm curious, why do you think that impaired driving is on the rise? 14% over the last 2 years?
That's correct. It's insane. It's totally insane. Well, one of the reasons I think is if you take a look at the penalties for individuals who are repeat offenders who get DUIs, the penalties aren't that harsh. And let's take it a step further. Even if you take a look at those individuals who cause death and injuries, compared to other types of deaths, the penalties are just not there. And so that's one thing. I mean, you can go out and you can do it. You can get a DUI or DWI, whatever they call it, whatever state you're in, and you get a slap on the hand, and you get a slap on the hand again. So there really aren't really tough penalties, and we need to do better. And we need to do better here in California, particularly with that. So that's number one. And the second part of it is I think that people are so accustomed to drinking and using other substances and becoming impaired and getting behind the wheels, they don't really think it's going to happen to them. And so I always say it's not going to happen to you until it does happen to you.
Anything else, Patricia, you would like to say before I let you go?
The only thing I'd say, if anybody's plans involve alcohol and or drugs, please plan ahead and have an alternative way to get home. Do not get behind the wheels of a vehicle. We appreciate that.
All right, Patricia, we appreciate your time. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.